Okay, so let's take a look at this poll. As Shannon introduced me, thank you for that. My name is Kathy Campitelli, and I'm the Companion Mammal Field Specialist for the Center for Animal Welfare. And I'm so pleased to welcome so many of you who have joined us. In addition to those who are affiliated with our licensed breeding facilities, I know that we have a larger number than what's reflected in the poll who are joining us by phone today. So thank you for being here. We've got some licensees with us, breeders, brokers, and exhibitors, a number of you from research. We did have some, maybe who are joining later from transportation world, a lot of veterinarians in the audience. That's wonderful. Thank you for joining us, and students as well. Really appreciate you being here as well. A number of us in the government, advocacy groups, and then others. So again, welcome everyone. We even have some registrants who are from attendees, I should say, who are joining us from foreign countries. So I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. As we go through this morning, hopefully we'll paint a picture of what's been going on, as Roxanne alluded to, a little bit of the history of how today came to be. And first, for anyone who's unfamiliar, I want to provide a brief overview of animal care and what we do. So the objectives of this presentation are to identify Animal Care's mission, define the scope of the Animal Welfare Act, identify the key roles and responsibilities in animal care, and then discover the resources that we have available to you. Our mission is split into three functions. The biggest and most recognizable mission area is the first that you see, to ensure the humane treatment of animals covered by the Animal Welfare Act. I won't get into too much detail about these other two, but I will just mention them for completeness. We also eliminate soring and promote fair competition at events covered by the Horse Protection Act, as well as provide national leadership on the safety and well-being of pets and other animals in disasters. I already mentioned those three mission areas. However, there are limitations to the extent of our authority. The Animal Welfare Act only applies to certain animals and certain activities. So our regulatory actions, including inspections of facilities, are limited to those facilities that are licensed or registered with us. So in order to determine that, we have a few other tools that help us target our activities. The Blue Book, or the regulations, define requirements for licensing and registration. And it's actually not blue anymore, it used to be, but this document on the right is actually aptly named the Gray Book. And this provides a little bit further description and interpretation of the nuances and the types of businesses and animal activities that are covered or exempt under the Animal Welfare Act. So you see on the left the list of covered animals, and these comprise the different sections of the regulations. So we have a section for dogs and cats, another section for guinea pigs and hamsters, and so on down the list. The newest being the section on birds, which is actually not even in print yet. It's in the works, but we're very excited about having birds being added to our Blue Book. And then I'll just mention that, we have these discrete sections for the named animal groups, but you can see pocket pets and exotic mammals. Those are what we consider our subpart F species. So it's any other mammal that's not listed in the previous sections. So that's where we're going to be pretty much living over the next 2 days, apart from the guinea pig discussions. Again, the Gray Book provides us with the activities that are not regulated or that are exempted. And I won't go through this whole list, but just to highlight a few, the activities that are intended to advance agricultural arts and sciences. So this could be a specialty breed show that's meant to celebrate that species of or that breed of animal. Farm animals used for food, fiber, or other agricultural purposes are also not covered. So this would be your rabbits that are raised for meat, or chinchillas that are sold for their furs. There are also a variety of sporting or hobby events. You can see the rodeos listed, county fairs, birds used in falconry. And then the other area that I want to mention that are not covered is the retail pet trade. So a face-to-face transaction, a brick and mortar pet store that is allowing members of the public to walk in, choose an animal off the shelf, and have that interaction. That is not covered by the Animal Welfare Act. And then the Gray Book also defines a threshold under which we deem them to be hobby breeders. So that's usually breeders that have 4 or fewer breeding females of a specific species or of any combination of species that are covered. And sometimes it's related to the amount of income they generate off of their gross sales. So those are also not covered if they're below that threshold. So to summarize, if we are trying to determine whether a facility needs to be licensed or registered, we have to pair together that a regulated animal is being used for a regulated activity. And if both of those things are present, then that facility or that business is regulated under the Animal Welfare Act and needs a license or registration to conduct those activities. Now I'll discuss a little bit about the key roles in animal care. Our largest organizational group is the Animal Welfare Operations Group, and this is who conducts our field activities. It's led by a director and assisted by 5 assistants who then oversee the groups of Regional Supervisory Animal Care Specialist teams, or SACs. Each SACs team consists of about 7 to 10 inspectors, and across the country we have about 100 field inspectors. That number is constantly in flux, it seems, with promotions and hiring and filling behind vacancies and that sort of thing. But our inspectors are both veterinary medical officers, or VMOs, who have graduated from veterinary school, as well as animal care inspectors who have not attended veterinary school, but have other relevant animal health or husbandry or regulatory experience. The map that you see shows the distribution of the SACs teams as they cover their assigned territories throughout the country. And depending on the density of licensed facilities, licensed and registered facilities in that area of the country, that territory could be assigned to any number of those inspectors, 7 to 10 per team approximately. The other groups in animal care are meant to support these field activities. So we have our program support team, who helps with administrative and licensing tasks and is also our customer service face. The compliance assurance team reviews inspection reports to refer cases through the judicial system for enforcement actions as necessary. Our national policy staff reviews the regulations and interfaces with other regulatory bodies to determine where authorities overlap. And then just to mention that the inspectors conduct inspections at regulated facilities to verify whether they're eligible for licensing. So before they get a license, they have to demonstrate 100% compliance with the regulations. And then after that, inspections are done to determine how well they're keeping up with their compliance. Inspections are also done to follow up on complaints that we receive from the public about a facility. And all of these are meant to ensure animal health and well-being at these facilities that are using animals. You'll hear a little bit more about the inspection process from our next speakers, but I just want to briefly provide the scope of what an inspection looks like. The process for an inspection starts with the facilities. So what is the building like? What is the storage areas? How are they using their food, medical supplies, the building and maintenance equipment to maintain temperature and water and those things? The inspection process also includes every animal that is housed at or used by that facility for regulated purposes. So if you can imagine, some of these inspections take multiple days to look at every animal. And then the necessary paperwork that's required for animal husbandry, veterinary care, animal ownership, and identification as dictated by the regulations. If you have questions about field activities, there is a list of the SACs teams and their assigned territories on our website. So you can navigate to that site and determine which SACs is responsible for your area and you can reach out to them directly. The SACS teams are responsible for all the inspectors in their area. So if there's a vacant inspector area, you may not have an assigned inspector, so you wouldn't have a name to ask for, but the SACS would be able to answer your questions. The last group that I want to mention in animal care is the Center for Animal Welfare, which, as I said at the beginning, this is where I sit. We are separate from field operations, but we work closely with one another. The center is led by our director and assistant director, Dr. Martha Keller and Dr. Jeannie Lynn. Our outreach and training specialists, who you've already heard from some of them today, Shannon and Dave, who are hosting and promoting this meeting. And we have Karen and Rania also working behind the scenes to make sure everything is flowing smoothly today. Really appreciate all their hard work. And their goal is to help us deliver the materials to the appropriate audiences in effective ways. Then we have the field specialist, of which I am one. And you can see the list of our specialized areas of expertise. And our role is to give inspectors support when they're unfamiliar with a species' normal health or behavior, to assist in determining the compliance of a given situation. Like you see in the photo, there's an inspector evaluating an otter exhibit at a zoo. And if she would be unfamiliar with that species or not know whether something was appropriate or necessary, she would be able to reach out to one of our field specialists. Our final role is to relate the newest science in animal health and welfare to our regulated facilities and make it applicable to them, which is, again, one of the reasons why we decided to have this meeting, because as I was getting questions from Bob and Christina and others about the problem of E. cuniculi, I was doing research and not finding a lot of answers. So that's why we started having those conversations. Before I get into some of the more tangible resources, I want to mention cooperative agreements and grants. We fund different projects and grants through the APHIS level. So APHIS is our umbrella organization within USDA. And we are able to offer funding and collaboration with different projects that help promote animal welfare or animal safety. So one of our most recognizable is the ZAP group, and they do various exercises, like you can see the avian influenza preparedness exercise for zoos. And I just mentioned this because as we go through the discussions today and talk about some of the questions that we need to have answered regarding E. cuniculi or any other animal welfare issue, just want to make you aware that if you're potentially from a research facility and you're thinking about designing a project, there's a chance that you might be able to apply for a grant. We do have a limited amount of funding, and animal care is a smaller piece of that larger umbrella group. So again, they're all funneled through APHIS as a whole group, and we have a lot of other competition with our bigger sister organizations like veterinary services and plant protection and quarantine. But again, just wanted to mention that there, and you can find more details on our website. So these are the fun publications and forms and other guidance documents. So if you scan this QR code, that takes you to that section of our website. And I'll get into a little bit more about the website here in a minute, but the publications, forms, and guidance documents has a whole list of these handouts that we like to give to our regulated facilities, as well as make available to the public. You can see the, let me pull up my laser pointer here for a second. So this is actually a piece of our website called the Licensing and Registration Assistant. And this asks a series of questions, and based on your responses, it will tell you whether or not you're likely to need a license or registration under the Animal Welfare Act. And then it leads you to some assistance tools on how to apply and for what you should apply for. The green color scheme documents are our animal care tech notes. And these provide a little bit further context or details about what a specific rule requires within the regulations, and just talks about it in a little bit more plain language and helps make it a little bit more digestible. The blue color scheme documents are what I think are the most fun, because we get to actually push for best practices and encourage good health and welfare and management of the animals as we see trends, or inspectors tell us, hey, we have a lot of problems with guinea pig eye problems. Can you create a document to help? And so that's what we've done with this one here, for example. The other sections of our website, again, climate change is a big one. We have resources to help assess what risks a facility might be at for specific climate changes. There's sections on the new changes in the regulations. So obviously the bird rule and the introduction of birds as regulated animals has been a very big change within the last year. So we have a whole section of our website dedicated to resources focusing on that. And again, the latest news, education, and those publications that I already mentioned, as well as for attending veterinarians. So I know we have a lot of veterinarians on the call. So there is a specific section of our website that is designed totally for you. If you work with a licensed or registered facility, there are a number of resources available to you to help determine what qualifications you need. What are your authorities and your responsibilities? If you don't already know, if a facility is required to have a relationship with an attending veterinarian, and if they're not a full-time employee, or if the facility has dogs, the veterinarian must create a written program of veterinary care, which describes how animals will be cared for, things like vaccination and deworming schedules, typical medical protocols. It might cover diet. It might cover other things that you deem necessary for a facility to have to follow. So again, this website helps you determine what all is your responsibility and your authority, and helps you comply with those. I'll leave this slide up just for a few seconds, because if you want to take a screenshot or a photo, this is all of our contact information. The email addresses, the animal care inbox goes to our program support team. So like I said, there are licensing and administrative and customer service phase. So that's where that email address goes, as well as the phone number. The Center for Animal Welfare box, that's again us in the center for your particular welfare or science-oriented questions. And then the website as you see it there. So I'll just hang here for another second or two to make sure that everybody gets a chance to capture that information. And if not, we have it screening through the rest of the breaks. We'll be able to share it with you again. So to summarize, I just wanted to identify Animal Care's purpose for you, define the scope of our activities and how we carry those out, identify the key personnel and the roles and responsibilities they share within Animal Care, and discovered the resources that we make available to you as regulated entities or to the general public, and especially you veterinarians out there. So with that, I know everybody's eager to move on with the presentations, but I'll take any questions that we have right now. Are there any?
All right, if you have a question for Dr. Campitelli, please use the Q&A in the bottom of your screen, and Dave will ask them in the order that they are received. So please, please, please use that Q&A at the bottom of your screen and put in any questions that you currently have. All right, we have 2 questions coming in, so we're going to get them asked.
I had a couple questions. Can we be a member of this?
A member?
Not sure.
So we don't offer any membership. I'm not sure if you're confusing it with like the accreditation program, which is run through veterinary services. That's where veterinarians can continue their education and be accredited for signing health certificates and things like that. But Animal Care does not have a private membership unless you have a license or registration with us.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. Next question. So are your inspections scheduled?
Some inspections are scheduled. by definition, the pre-license before a license is granted, those are scheduled, but otherwise they are not scheduled.
Okay, thank you. Next question, can you remind us how to get CE?
Yeah, there will be reminders throughout the day, but the Center for Animal Welfare at USDA.gov is where you can send an email with your state and license number, or you can pop it into the Zoom chat.
Okay, thank you. Not showing any more questions. Again, if you have a question, please put it in the question box. We'll get to it. Okay, no further questions, Kathy.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
If everyone could thank Dr. Campitelli by using your clap option in your captions. If you do not see the captions option, it should be in the lower right-hand corner. If you select more, you should see the captions there to be able to, or reactions, I apologize, not captions, reactions, to give Dr. Campitelli a round of applause. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.